I am not computer literate, I asked my granddaughter to please open www.google.com. She told me that our guest of honor and speaker has 18,000 hits in that particular internet. Of course, she also told me that the predecessor of our guest of honor and speaker, Chief Justice Hilario Davide, has 51,000 hits. But the good news is, I did not have to go through the 18,000 hits of our guest speaker because the Supreme Court has a very effective public information officer in the person of the Honorable Ismail Khan, who, by the way, is here. So everything I read is what he wrote. Everything I do not read here is what I mean to say. But I will be very brief because Malcolm Australia took my place really, because he already introduced our guest of honor and speaker. But he did not mention that as scholar and campus leader, as a student, our guest of honor and speaker was a consistent scholar, a well-known campus leader. He completed his associate in arts with highest honors, his law degree cum laude, aside from being named the most outstanding student in the year he graduated. In the final examination of 1960, he placed 6th among 4,260 examinees. He is 6th out of 4,260 examinees. Of course, President Marcos was also a bad top-notcher. He was a recipient of over 200 awards, including the honorary doctoral degrees from the University of Iloilo and Far Eastern University. He was also, our guest speaker, was also very active in extracurricular activities because he's the founder of the National Union of Students of the Philippines. Of course, the president at that time was President Marcos. It's a good thing that our guest of honor and speaker is not a student leader now, or President Arroyo will be having problems. But our guest speaker is also a distinguished lawyer, businessman, professor, civic and Catholic lay leader. He started practicing law as an assistant in the prestigious law firm of his mentor, Dr. Copito and Salonga. 3 years afterwards, he formed his law office. Aside from practicing law, our versatile and multi-talented guest of honor speaker was, prior to his appointment to the Supreme Court, a respected leader in various fields. In business, Vice President of the Philippine Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Governor of the Management Association of the Philippines, and President of the Tourism Organization of the Philippines. From 1960 to 1970, in media, he is the President in 1991 of the Philippine Daily Inquirer. The critical comments, of course, the Philippine Daily Inquirer and Arroyo are not his own. He is no longer connected with them. Repeatedly lauded as an outstanding jurist for his clarity of thought and clearness of praise. He has also been cited as being one of the most prodigious members of the Supreme Court in terms of a number of the decisions authored, legal references published, and numerous articles written in legal journals and various local and international publications. In his decisions, it demonstrates a consuming passion for the protection of human rights, especially of the poor, the oppressed, and the defenseless. At this point, we should remember that it was our guest of honor and speaker who saw to it that the Party System Act shall be an act for the marginalized in our society, even if that was not provided in the law itself. That is the beautiful thing about our guest of honor and speaker. He can change the law anytime he wants to. Of course, another item placed here by Administrator Khan is family. Our guest of honor and speaker is Mary Panganiban, professor and former associate dean of the Asian Institute of Management, with whom he has 5 children, who all graduate degrees from Philippine U.S. universities, including Harvard, Stanford, University of California, University of Chicago, University of Michigan, and Boston University. I do not know that among the universities is Yale University, where his mentor was, and whether, believe it or not, where Emmanuel Abilosa came from, and where Minister Teodoro Peña came from, and where the humble speaker came from. Together with Bill Clinton and Hillary. But there's something personal. Why I enjoyed very much when I had this assignment from Lolo Lazaro. Because do you know that the public school teachers who were dismissed and suspended by the late Isidro Carrillo, I represented them. Why? Because they believed in the Constitution. They read Section 4 of Article 3, which says, no law shall be passed abridging the freedom of speech, of expression of the press, and of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and petition the government for redress of grievances. And do you know these public schools believe that provision of the Constitution? But Narvaza said, no, you were wrong when you did not go to your classes. And this was mentioned and approved by all the justices of the Supreme Court until our guest of honor and speaker came in. Because in the decision held by our guest of honor and speaker, he believes in due process, not the way the idea of rule of law is mentioned by the Committee of Justice of the House of Representatives, but in the genuine way where it should be represented. And this is what he said. In that case, he said, look, Mr. Isidro did not follow the Magna Carta for public school teachers. So, what happened? He violated due process. And so for all the times they were not teaching, he gave them back wages. From the time they were not allowed to teach, up to the time they were allowed to return afterwards. That is our guest of honor and speaker, rectifying all the mistakes of members of the Supreme Court by virtue of his decision. So,